What does tension and racket actually do? I mean, I'm just an average player, but I never know the actual reason why. I have 27 tension. Does it affect anything or something? See, this is my issue with tension. It's not that you guys are using high touch. I mean, that is part of the case, but it's like a majority of you guys come to me and you guys don't even know what tension does. You guys just have some random number that is usually way too high, and it's usually because like either you probably are copying someone that you guys look up to, or you guys are all talking amongst yourselves and all of you are like equally uninformed, so you guys are all equally making bad decisions, right? So this is a good question to ask, because like if you don't even know what tension does, like why are we strung so high? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, to answer the question, sorry, excuse me. Tension affects the tightness of your strings, and the tightness of your strings will affect certain properties of it, right? Um, if you have the same racket and you have the same string, but one is strung at, like, let's say 22 pounds, and then one is strung at 28 pounds, the one at 22 pounds will be a lot easier to generate power with because the strings are looser, right? So there's going to be more movement. It's like basically a trampoline. It's a trampoline that is really easy to jump on. Um, but because it's easy to jump on, like the actual maximum output of power is lower. The one on 28, it will be harder to, I guess, overcome that initial tension. But if you're able to make the strings move and actually generate the power, the overall power will be higher, if that makes sense. It's a little bit tricky to understand, I know, which is why I've had to reiterate this so many times. But also, control. Because the strings tend to move more when it's a lower tension, you tend to have less control because you're not able to more precisely control the shuttlecock because the strings are moving more, right? Compared to if you have a high tension racket, or sorry, string, the string is not going to move as much. So the tension will, or sorry, so the control will be a lot better because the string is not moving as much. That's why when you just get your racket first strung and you serve, your serves tend to be really good because the strings are just freshly strung, so they're still tight. So there's not much string movement. So if you guys have noticed that, that's a really good example of what high tension does. It helps with the control. Hope this answers your question. I have talked about tension a lot in the past, and I haven't really mentioned it as much recently, but I feel like I really should reiterate this often. If you're not, you know, a pro, you shouldn't be using a pro tension, basically, right? You shouldn't be using a tension because your idol uses this tension or because you've played for so many years. Like string tension comes down to individual skill at that current time. Like just because you used to use 30-pound tension when you were a pro, or if you were really strong and then you got older, doesn't mean you should stick to 30-pound tension. Like there's been plenty times, like even now, right? I've strung my racket as high as 28, but that was when I was a full-time single player in Korea. And now because like I'm not training, I'm older and I'm playing more doubles and I'm looking more for power, I've actually come down to 26, right? So it's all about your current situation. And like for example, I'm gonna be in Malaysia next month or May 17th, right, for a month. Will probably get a lot stronger in that month of training. I might go back up to 27 pounds. So it really all just depends on like what your current skills and technique and all that are. Okay. So I hope this helps.